Good evening, folks. I hope everybody's doing well. This is a Saturday night. We have February 27th. Spring is almost here, folks. This is David with New Blog Hosting, and I kind of want to do something a little different tonight. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Hopefully you guys respect it and kind of understand where I'm coming from. I think this is advice that the entire blogging community could benefit from. What we're going to entitle this is A Blogger's Investment. A blogger's investment is what what you put into your blog other than time. Everybody's puts a lot of time into their blog, I would assume, and puts a lot of effort into your blog. But what is your financial investment, and what are your financial expectations, and what do you expect in return for those? Now, when we have this discussion, I'm going to talk about everything from your theme to your hosting to people you may contract out to do jobs, us included here at New Blog Hosting. And, some of the feedback we get, some of the things that we see, some of the things that we know to be true, and some of the things to be honest with everybody while we're being open and honest is things that we know not to be true. Now, before I go any further, this video is not meant to insult anyone. We don't mean to be pointing out anybody here, because there's going to be that some person that says, oh man, I sent in a ticket about that last week. He's talking about me. Or this happened 6 months ago with my blog. He's talking about me. No, I'm not talking about anybody here. I'm just being open, honest, and transparent about the things that we see at New Blog Hosting concerning blogs and bloggers that are both good and bad along the way. I'm not zeroing out any one host other than ourselves. I'm not zeroing out any one blogger, any one theme, any one way of doing things. This just seems to be the way the community has evolved, the way blogging has evolved, and the way the blogging community expresses themselves as a whole. And to do that, we're going to talk about a couple of different types of bloggers. We're going to talk about your new blogger, and we're going to talk about your experienced blogger. And somewhere in the middle there, you'll probably hear conversations about an experienced, established blogger. Now, let's start like this. When you decide to do a blog, you have an idea, a topic, a passion, something that drives you, something that pushes your butt, something you're knowledgeable in, something you can really help people with, something you can contribute to. You can contribute something in a different way. Blogs these days are rarely unique because there's so many of them. So what bloggers have to do is portray themselves in a different way. A different way of expertise. They have to do their content differently. They have to make themselves look differently. They have to make themselves look the authority. I use that word because that's Google's word. Google likes for websites to be an authority on a topic. That's only part of how you get your ranking, and we'll come back to that. But when you decide to start that blog, You've got an idea, you've got a passion, you've got something you want to run with it, you're fired up about it. You go pick your domain name, you pick your host, you come to us here at New Block Hosting, you sign up for our basic plan, and we install WordPress. That's where most people hit that roadblock. Because in order to get our basic plan and a domain name, you have invested roughly $70, $75 to get started. Now, remember, I said this was going to be called a blogger's investment. So far, you can say that you have invested $70, $75, right? Give or take. You've got our basic plan. You have bought a domain name. Now that $70 or so is good for a year. So that breaks out to about what, $7 a month, roughly. Let's say it breaks out to $6.50, $7 a month. Now, so that's your investment. And then what happens is you decide you want a good-looking blog. You want a theme. You go buy your theme, whether it be Divi, Genesis, Elementor, any of those others out there. It doesn't matter, but you make that initial investment. You've bought a theme. So you put a blank theme on your website, and then you come back and you go, okay, I want this thing customized, but I don't know how to do it. So you come back to us, or you go to another designer, and that designer quotes you out of quote $500, $600, $700 or more. If you want a good quality website, in a lot of cases it's more. Because in most cases you need a professional logo, and you need, your color scheme, your layout, your blog post layout. You're going to want some plugins installed. You're going to want your Twitter account set up, your Facebook account set up, your Facebook page, your cover art for your social media, your Pinterest, a whole 9 yards. Now, when people come back to us and we hand them a quote, a lot of times our quote is one of the better ones in the industry. After all, we have a combined experience of over 40 years about blogging. We know blogs here at New Blog Hosting. We didn't just put our name, or put the word blog in our name for no reason. New Blog Hosting knows blogs. We know WordPress. We know what it takes to be successful. But when it becomes time to be successful, very few bloggers have the budget to be successful. Because you have to treat it like a business. If it is a business to you. If you intend to draw revenue from that business. Now, some people blog as a hobby. $70 is fine. An off-the-wall theme is okay. A free theme is okay. Hobby blogging is cool. But for those that want to make $1 or have aspirations of making $1, it's just like opening a brick and mortar store. When you open that store, you've got nothing but a blank canvas. You've got to brand the store. You've got to buy your wall art. You've got to buy your signage. You maybe have to paint your walls. You've got to buy, you've got to buy your entry signs. You've got to buy your credit card processors and anything, your inventory. and anything else that it would take to outfit your brick and mortar store. You've got to spend that money. A quality blog for somebody that wants to make money is no different. You've got to go into it with some sort of budget, something to get it off the ground, if that's your aspiration. For some folks, it's not. But if that's your aspiration, you've got to have something to get it off the ground. To get past the hosting, you've got to have somebody to get that design in there for you. You may have to pay for some stock photography. You may have to pay for a commercialized thing, which I highly suggest, by the way. Those are your starter bloggers, and the money that it takes to develop and establish a money-making blog. That's what it takes to get to your Mediavine ads, your Google ads, your sponsored post. That's what it takes to get there. It takes an investment. I'm not saying you can't do it on a free theme and $80 for hosting and a domain name. I'm not saying you can't. You can. I've seen it done many times. But most people aren't willing to make those sacrifices. Because sometimes your content has to overcome maybe your lack of looks, aesthetics, if you will, in your blog. And then sometimes you, the blogger, are the one spending the time not only creating the content, but doing the design and building the brand. If you've got that time, you've got those skills, you've got that patience, you're in a good place. You're in a very good place. Most that we see don't have that. They just simply don't have it. It's not that they don't have the skills. The skills, in my mind, today with Google and YouTube videos and training videos could easily be acquired. But most beginning bloggers are still working a regular job. They're mothers, they're fathers, husbands, wives. They don't have time. But they don't have the budget either to hand somebody to help them do it. So the idea really never gets off the ground. Or what was a good idea becomes a half-baked idea that just never goes anywhere. And, that's a loss for both sides, because at the end of that year, you're dropping your hosting with us, because your idea hit a roadblock and you didn't continue. You don't know what that idea could have been. Then there's your established blogger, and this is where things get a little more deeper, a little more tricky to explain. An established blogger, to me, is somebody who is at least hitting the Zoic standards, you're hitting the Mediavine standards, you're hitting the Google Ad standards. Maybe you've got some sponsored posts. You've got some income. Okay, when you run a brick and mortar store, you reinvest that income or some of it to make the business better, to do more. Your business is growing. Maybe you're getting more foot traffic if you're a brick and mortar store. If you're getting more foot traffic, maybe you need a two-way door, one side in, one side out. Maybe you need more than a single door. That costs money. Maybe you need a new floor covering by the door and a new rug. That costs money. Maybe you need better signage by the door to let people know that you don't accept checks. That sign will cost you money in most cases. Now, how does this correlate to a blog? If you're an established blog and you're on cheaper hosting, so that 99% of your profits go into your pocket, then you're opening yourself up for risk. We hear it all the time from bloggers. Your blog had an issue for 30 seconds. Your blog had an issue for 5 minutes. Your blog had an issue for 15 minutes. Maybe your blog had an issue for an hour. And suddenly you're able to equate that to, oh God, this was $20 for an hour's downtime. Was it really 20? Was it really 20? And when I say that in a way to make you think about your investment. Bloggers, investment. If you're investing less than 10% of your monthly income into your blog, then you're really, I hate to tell you, not making enough investment. You kind of look at it this way. Once the foot traffic starts in your brick and mortar store, you've got to upgrade things to keep it looking good, keep it smooth, keep things efficient. Your blog is the same way. So maybe instead of that basic hosting plan that you were paying for, you look into that premium plan, you look into the VIP plan, you make that bigger investment. That way your blog is better equipped to efficiently handle the quote unquote foot traffic of people visiting. Your uptime is maximized. Your speed is maximized. You've got some skin in the game, if you will. But if you're on a value hosting plan with an established blog, divide it out. What are you paying per year? Divide that out monthly. Is that enough skin in the game for you to feel bad when something happens to your blog? Now, if you're paying somebody, and I'm just throwing this figure out there, if you're an established blogger and you're paying somebody $50 a month, and that's enough to cover your traffic and your level of establishment, then yes, maybe you're doing what you should. Or if you're paying somebody $15 a month and that fits your level of establishment and that fits your income stream, that's what you should do. But we see most bloggers be successful when they at least take part of their income stream and reinvest it into their blog, into their hosting, into improvements. Whether it be getting a bigger plan from us, getting a premium plan, a VIP plan, a custom server, whatever the case may be. Getting somebody to check your SEO and actually getting somebody that knows what they're doing and paying the bill, whether it be getting somebody to redesign your website, redo your logo, whatever the case may be. You've got to match the investment with what you're making and what you want to get out of it. When you start a brick and mortar business, like I said, you start it, then you get to a point where you reinvest and you build again toward that next investment. It's not spend $100. Once you recoup that $100, it's 100% profit from there on out. That's not the way any business works. If that's the way business really works, we'd all be rich, right? But sometimes bloggers need to step back and look at that investment that they're making. Is it enough? Have they thought it through? Starting a business that makes money, whether it be blogging, selling clothes, selling collectibles, an online store, is a balance of a risk and an investment. Sometimes you lose that investment. It should be a controlled investment, yes. You know, if you can afford to invest $50 a month, and I'm just making that figure up, on anything in a business, but it's going to cost you $150, maybe you don't take that risk. Or if you can afford $50 and it costs $100, well, look, how quickly can you recover that? Can you afford to go in the hole while you recover that? You know, these are things you need to think about, whether it's a blogging business or whether it's a brick and mortar business. You've got to treat them the same. If a business and viable income is what you're looking to achieve. Now, if you're a hobbyist blogger, of course, hey, none of this applies to you. None of this applies to the hobby blogger at all. But it does apply to the blogger that's looking to make money, an investment, and turn it into a business. You've got to make the investment. Can you really scream at somebody when something goes wrong when you've made a $3 investment, when you've made a $5 investment? But you can scream a little more when that investment is bigger, when you've got some skin in the game, if you will. And that's the case with a digital business such as a blog or a physical business such as a store. You've got to have some skin in the game. And we know, in terms of blogging, what the real income numbers are for a lot of people. We've been around that long that we can pretty much take a guess by looking at a blog, what this blog earns off of advertisements, what this blog earns off of advertisements. Now, sponsored posts, those are, individually negotiated. We have no idea. But we know how AdWords works. We know how AdSense works. We know how Mediavine works. Ezoic works. All these other media advertising digital platforms, we know how they work. We can go back and look at your numbers and have an idea of what you're making versus what you're investing. Is it enough? Is it enough? That's a question that only you can answer yourself. You have to ask yourself, what are you willing to tolerate? Or are you willing to tolerate a lesser design? Or are you willing to tolerate perhaps your website going down because you've not paid for enough resources to handle the occasional traffic spike? Are you willing to accept the fact that your blog is a little slower because you've not paid for the resources for it to be a speedy blog, to have plenty of resources during prime time? Is that something you're willing to accept? You have to weigh out what you're willing to accept, what you're willing to pay, and what the investment is versus what you make. If you are in a business such as blogging and you're making you're putting 100% profit in the bank or 99% profit in the bank every month, then you're in the wrong place. You need to be investing that for a rainy day, investing it for a good day. The internet is a fragile thing. Things happen digitally. So, are you paying for enough hosting? Are you paying for enough backups? Are you maximizing how you recover from a disaster, something going wrong, a mishap? Blogs and websites in general are living, moving, working things. That's the way you have to treat them. Why? Because software updates come out every day. Things break. Hackers are out there doing things every day. You never know when your number's up. The internet. Nobody has any single control over it. It could break at any point in time. The link between you and the end of the street at your place could break and you be down for a couple of days. That's the nature of the beast. Google goes down, Amazon goes down, Microsoft goes down, the Xbox service goes down. They've all been down recently within the past 30 days. So when something does happen, are you making the investment to cover that catastrophe? What is your path out? Are you putting all your posts up on the website and not making copies of them in Microsoft Word or a notepad document or something? Do you have a way to reconstruct your blog if something beyond your control and your host control happens? Have we not had enough natural disasters in the past year for people to think about that? Have we not? Because the host may have internet, the host may have power. But what if something happens that neither can control, you or the host? Nobody thinks about these things until it happens. And then you go, oh, or I wish, or why not? And when something happens, most people are looking to point the finger. They've got to blame somebody. Somebody's got to be responsible. Somebody's got to be responsible. But when you own that brick and mortar store, what do? You put up cameras. You buy burglar alarms. You perhaps have a safe. You buy good door locks. You do everything you can to keep that business safe. But so many people don't even back up their blogs just to make sure they have a disaster plan. And if they don't back up their blogs, they don't even back up their post. Take 30 seconds, put a copy of every post in Microsoft Word. Save it. Save it to the cloud, save it to your computer, save it to a flash drive, save it to multiple places, whatever makes you happy. That's what you do. I'm not harping on bloggers, but we see it every day come through our ticket system. We see it in the Facebook groups. We see people that are just not being smart. And a lot of people are depending on that host to have that backup to get them out of trouble. Now, we at New Blog Hosting, let me be clear, we back up many things many different ways. 9 times out of 10, we're going to have that backup that you're looking for. That's something that sets us apart. Not every host is going to do that for you. We do everything we can at New Blog Hosting to help you minimize your risk and maximize your investment. And to maximize your income. That's just the way it goes. But that's part of what makes us special at New Blog Hosting. But you, as the blogger, have got to make your investment. You've got to put your skin in the game. You've got to put your effort in. If your blog has some sort of financial meaning or financial way of supporting your family or paying a bill, you've got to make sure that that business or that resource has everything it needs to function properly. And then you've got to make sure it has what it needs to recover in the case of a disaster, such as a brick and mortar store. You would buy insurance. You make sure. So what is your insurance in blogging? Making sure you have a copy of your post, making sure you have extra backups. That may cost you nothing. That may cost you a few dollars. That's not anything that's going to break a blogger that is looking to make money. That is not something that is going to break your bank. Nothing in this video is going to break your bank at all. It's not. And bloggers need to start making a better investment, more investments, and think about their blog as a business. You do that. You think about it as a business when there's a problem, because you see that instead of losing 10% of income that day, you're used to making 99.9% and you lost 40% of it, so you panic. That's the nature of the game. You wonder, we see all sides of it. A blog goes down and displays an error message. People think their content's gone and their life's work is over. Well, I understand that fear. I understand that feeling. But think about it. If you had copies of your post on your PC, back them up to OneDrive, back them up to Google Cloud, email them to yourself, whatever you want to do. Put them on an external hard drive. Do all of the above. But when something happens, that is not something you would have to worry about if you've taken the correct precautions. Hope this video has made some of you think. I hope it's made some of you reevaluate how you do things. I hope it makes our customers and any prospective customers feel better that we do everything we can to help you maximize your investment and minimize your risk. But you still need to think about what is your disaster plan. Like I said, the internet is fragile. You never know. And then, to be fair, you can always ask yourself, if the internet was to blow up tomorrow, are your blog posts really all that important anymore? There's that question to be brought up too. We don't know what's going to go on in the world from one day to the next. I think, what we've been through in 2020 and what we're going through here now in 2021 is total proof of that. People have got to open their eyes. It's kind of like a lot of people, when the coronavirus become a real thing and started affecting the world, people started checking their savings accounts, their 401ks, maybe things they had never checked or things that they had never thought about in the last decade or two. You always need to have that plan in place. I hope this has helped somebody. If we can help, check us out, newbloghosting.com, or email us, support@newbloghosting.net. Of course, you can subscribe to our channel. You can like the video. It would help it quite a bit. And we're happy to answer any questions we can. We're happy to help. Again, we're happy to help you maximize your investment and minimize your risk. But like I said, there are parts you can do too. Hope everybody's doing well. I hope everybody has the rest of your weekend is wonderful. Sorry if I'm a little bit long-winded. If you'd like more information, like I said, drop us an email, support@newbloghosting.net. We'll be happy to help. Hopefully this helps you. Take care, everybody. Have a good weekend. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.